What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hammerstein and today we will be doing a full comparison video over here between two very powerful mid-range flagship phones. So in the first corner over here we have the Honor 200 Pro and it's going up against the POCO F6. So we're going to go through all the key specs and features on both of these two phones to help you make your purchase decision. So yes, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Alright, so first things first, let's point out the elephant in the room. So starting here with the prices, the Honor 200 Pro does go for 2699 ringgit Malaysian, whereas on the POCO F6, the highest end can go up to 1799 ringgit Malaysia. So we're talking about the $550 mark to $450 mark, a difference of about $100 to $150 depending on where you're from between both of these two phones. So now let's just get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to start off here with the build and design on both of these two phones, and of course the clear winner on this category here is definitely the Honor 200 Pro. It does have a glass back over here, it does also have a glass on the front, some aluminium frames on the sides here to give you a very sturdy and simple and premium look overall compared to the plastic that we have on the POCO F6 over here, which does also use a Gorilla Glass Victus on the front. But overall, definitely in terms of durability, the Honor 200 Pro would win it. In terms of the design, here does have the squared sides here, so sometimes people might like it, which I do, and sometimes this one here, people might like the curve on the sides, which also some people might like it. I really do. I do prefer the squared sides, but this one isn't too bad at all. In terms of the thickness, I do feel that with the F6, it is a little bit thicker, so it feels a little bit more comfortable in hand. And in terms of the weight as well, both of them are pretty good, but I do like the heavier weight on this because it does give that premium feel overall. In terms of the reachability on the buttons over here, both of them are very similar, but of course with the camera layout, the Honor 200 Pro is definitely bigger compared to the F6. So if you're going to put it on the table, you will get some wobbles over here more so with the Honor 200 Pro. And also when you talk about the material here, definitely glass is nicer because if you have some fingerprints here, it is easier to wipe. But of course, both of them do not attract a lot. But definitely when you have some oily hands over here, you will notice it more on the plastic back of the POCO F6. Other than that, both of these two phones are really good. But definitely this round here goes to the Honor 200 Pro. Alright, so now moving on to the displays on both of these two phones. So in terms of the numbers over here, the Honor 200 Pro definitely takes the cake because it does give you a bigger display over here, 6.78 inch compared to the 6.67 inch display. In terms of the brightness, this can go up to 4000 compared to the 2400 on the F6. But to be honest, in terms of day-to-day usage, they are very similar. Of course, both of these two phones do have your AMOLED panel, they do have the 120Hz, HDR support, all that good stuff you're going to get with your premium phones, but I definitely prefer the color that does come out with the Honor 200 Pro. It feels a little bit more nicer blended and it does give you a more punchy color compared to the F6 over here. And one more thing that I do like on the Honor 200 Pro is the adaptive brightness. It's able to detect the surrounding light a little bit better compared to the F6 and is able to adjust the brightness here faster and more efficient compared to the F6. So in terms of the overall display, I do prefer on the Honor 200 Pro because in terms of the speakers, they are equally loud and they are very clear and crispy, so nothing much to complain about here. And of course in terms of the haptics on both these two phones, they are very similar. Of course in this category, it's a bit of a tight battle, but I would go for the Honor 200 Pro. So moving on to the next segment over here, which we're going to talk about the internal specs and also the software. So in terms of the spec wise, both of them are rocking the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3, 12 gigs of RAM with of course the RAM expansion or turbo feature, whatever you want to call it. and up to 512 gigs of storage here. So in terms of the overall thing here, they are very similar. I have done a separate video for you guys to check out the performances on both of these two phones and let you guys judge for yourself. But of course, day-to-day usage, they are rocking in really fast and snappy over here. And of course, the main thing that you want to know is whether the software on both of these two phones, which one is more comfortable to use. Definitely, I'll go for the Honor 200 Pro. It feels more polished, it's easier to move around, it's easier to find things, it just feels a little bit nicer to use overall compared to the POCO over here, which does use the Hyper OS, which feels very clunky, very chunky, everything's just here and there. The icons do look very weird, and it's easy, not very easy to move around. I do like the editing software over here. Of course, we do have the Magic Ring AI features over here and also some other AI stuff. And also, you know, just overall, I do prefer the software that does come with Honor 200 Pro. So definitely, I'm going to give this round again to the Honor 200 Pro. Alright, so last but not least, let's talk about the cameras that does come with this phone. So over here with the POCO F6, we do have a nice selfie camera over here with a 20 megapixel sensor, which is pretty decent, and it does have the f2.2 sensor. It can record up to 1080p at 60 fps. Of course, if we switch it on to the rear cameras over here, we do have a dual camera setup, a 15 megapixel f1.6 lens, and then 8 megapixel ultra wide lens here as well. And of course, if we switch it on to the Honor 200 Pro over here, we do have a nicer 50 megapixel selfie shooter, and of course in terms of the recording here, it can record up to 4K at 30 fps. And if you go on to the rear cameras over here, it does have a triple camera setup, a 50 megapixel main lens with OIS, another 50 megapixel telephoto with OIS, and also it does have your ultra wide over here, a 12 megapixel f2.2 sensor, and this phone here can record up to 4K at 30 fps. So definitely when it comes to the cameras on both of these two phones, number wise they are quite similar to each other, but it's all about how they process the photos and how it comes out in your social media. Definitely, I would say I'll go for the Honor 200 Pro. When it comes to just photos in general, here does have more versatility, and it does give you more depth when you're taking portrait shots, and it does have the hardcore technology over here, the studio stuff, which does go around with the software. So definitely the portraits do come out nicer compared to the F6, which isn't a bad camera overall, but you had to choose one, I would definitely go for the Honor 200 Pro. In terms of bright daylight as well, it does capture more details and the colors do come out nicer and more vibrant. And of course, if you switch it on to night mode here as well, the photos do come out really nice and does give you more details compared to the F6, which does take quite very fast. This one does take a little bit more time with taking shots at night, but overall I think that extra length of time here gives a little bit more details for the Honor 200 Pro. Of course, I'm going to show you some show photos that you guys can judge for yourself and let me know in the comments which one you think does better. Alright guys, so that is it with the POCO F6 and the Honor 200 Pro. A difference for about $100 to $150. Is it worth it to go for the Honor 200 Pro or stick to the POCO F6? To be honest, I would go for the Honor 200 Pro. Yes, the specs are very similar, but we do have a more solid design overall compared to the F6, which is a bit of a miss because the F3 did use a glass on the back over here. And of course, one of the main things when you are using the Honor 200 Pro is of course the camera and also the software experience, which I do find a much better compared to the POCO F6. Of course, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about these two phones over here. If you guys have any thoughts, do let me know in the comments down below, and if you guys enjoyed the video, do click the like and smash the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.